Watch what Kamala Harris whispers to Bernie Sanders on Congress's floor, and it's going to make you wonder who's really in charge of our government. You're not going to want to miss this.
Let's play that clip and see if you pick up on the same thing as me.
Stand right there. Although that is not your nature to just stand where you're told to stand. Give it a try. Okay, raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that you will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that you take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that you will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office upon which you are about to enter, so help you God. Congratulations, Senator Sanders. Again.
That's pretty good.
Well, you know, I've done it a few times.
All right, thank you.
You too, my dear.
Ready? 1, 2, and 3. Thank you very much.
Take care. Okay. Bye-bye.
Yeah, that was supposed to be a joke. She's talking to Bernie Sanders and makes a joke, stand right over here. Although I know that it's not in your nature to just stand where you're told, but try to give it a try. She thinks it's so funny, and obviously to a certain extent, it's an attempt at clever, lighthearted humor. Bernie Sanders, oh, you know, this guy, he treads his own path, which in a way is kind of true. Kind of. He's also one of the biggest pushovers and ends up being a complete establishment shill when it's all said and done. But anyways, she thinks it's just a clever, lighthearted, humorous joke, but in reality, I think she inadvertently exposed a glaring truth about the Democrat Party. The DNC demands loyalty. They demand obedience, complete submission to the party machine. And if you don't comply, well, then what happens? You're punished, you're sidelined, you're shunned. And that's where this joke just doesn't hit. Because if we're talking about these concepts, I mean, who's the first person that we would ask questions? It's frickin' Bernie Sanders. Let's not forget the many ways the Democrat Party has essentially abused, manipulated, and outright sabotaged Bernie Sanders over the years. In 2016, he was gaining unprecedented momentum as an anti-establishment pick in the Democratic primaries. He was energizing young voters and independents, honestly, like nobody else. I'd say even more than Donald Trump was at the time during the actual primaries. But what happened? The DNC rigged the system against him. And it's funny because that was their actual opportunity to start pivoting towards socialism, which secretly is what the party elite actually want. You know, back then there was actually an appetite for socialism. People had drank the Kool-Aid. I mean, it was prime time for the socialist snake oil salesman, but they rigged the system. And
the only reason that was done is because they recognize Bernie Sanders is kind of a wild card. We don't have complete control of this guy, whereas if Hillary Clinton got in, she would do as we say. She's not going to question anything. She's going to follow our agenda because this woman had been in politics practically all her life. She is as establishment as they get. I mean, why else do you think they put Joe Biden as a Democratic nominee in 2020? You think Joe Biden's going to sit there and actively question what papers are on his desk, what he's going to sign, or is he just going to sign it blindly? The Democrats tell him to do so. Back in 2016, I will be the first to admit, I was a diehard Trump supporter even back then, but I saw the energy within the Bernie Sanders crowd. So many young people loved this guy because he was actually speaking for them. He was not just some parrot repeating phrases that politicians have been saying for years. He was actually coming in with original ideas. Sure, he was a crazy radical, but he actually knew how to appeal to a younger audience. That was such a threat to Hillary Clinton that they had to rig the system against this guy because he was going to win. In a free and fair election, I have no doubts he would have smoked Hillary Clinton.
Actually worked behind the scenes to ensure Hillary Clinton secured the nomination. You know, Bernie wasn't given a fair shot, and his supporters were essentially told to sit down, shut up, and fall in line with the party and the elitist powers that be. Bernie was attacked, vilified, and denied airtime. Then came 2020, when history essentially repeated itself. Bernie started off strong, winning early primaries, becoming a legitimate frontrunner, but the Democrat establishment obviously couldn't allow that, and they pulled all the stops to consolidate support behind Joe Biden, with Pete Buttigieg, Amy Klobuchar, and others conveniently dropping out of the race right before Super Tuesday to pave the way for Biden's victory. Bernie once again was forced to play second fiddle because he refused to, quote, stand where he's told, Yeah, I'm sorry, but Kamala's comment to Bernie here isn't just a joke. I think it was a jab, either a purposeful jab or an inadvertent jab, and a tone-deaf one at that. She's essentially mocking Bernie Sanders for being an independent thinker, or at least as close as you're going to get to an independent thinker within the world of collectivist left-wing thinking and politics. She's essentially poking fun at Bernie Sanders because he's someone who's carved his own path rather than falling in line with the party's rigid hierarchy. And what's really most telling from this interesting little encounter is just how normalized this type of behavior has become within the Democrat Party. Kamala's comments reveal the cult-like nature of the party, where conformity seems to be valued above all else. They expect every member to slot neatly into place, parrot the same talking points, follow the same script, push the same policies dictated by the party elites. Independent thought is not only discouraged, but it's punished. And the fact that Kamala and her peers don't even see how weird or off-putting it is, I think speaks volumes to their actual distorted, twisted mindset. To them, it's normal to blindly follow the shepherds at the top. They don't see it as authoritarian or cult-like behavior because they've been fully programmed to think this way. And what's so ironic is Kamala Harris and her campaign were the same ones pointing the finger at us saying, we're the weird ones. No, you're the weird ones. Not us, and honestly not even Bernie Sanders, and certainly not the millions of Americans who've grown tired of the Democrats' top-down control. No, it's you. You're the weirdos. Absolute freaking bots and NPCs. The Democrat Party seems to operate like a machine, with the elitist power brokers pulling the strings and punishing anybody who steps out of line. Whether it's Bernie Sanders, Tulsi Gabbard, RFK Jr., Andrew Yang, the list goes on, the Democrats seem to follow one doctrine: fall in line or get out. Or in reality, it's more like fall in line or we will destroy you. And contrast that with the Republican Party, where internal debates and disagreements are seen as part of the process. Trump's rise, for example, wasn't orchestrated by some shadowy cabal like Joe Biden's was. It was a grassroots movement that flipped the establishment on its head. Whether you like Donald Trump or not, the GOP allowed the voters to decide, rather than rigging the system to protect their chosen candidate.
Isn't it so ironic that the Democratic Party is anything but democratic? They pick and choose who they want to lead their party and follow their narratives. Because if you actually think about it, even in this latest election, the 2024 election, Kamala Harris should not have been the candidate. Who the heck voted for this woman? She did not receive a single primary vote, forced Joe Biden out, just because they thought Kamala Harris had better odds of beating Donald Trump than Joe Biden. But did the will of the people vote for Kamala Harris? No, absolutely not. You can even argue that the will of the people wanted RFK Jr. to head the Democratic Party because they were doing anything in their power to prevent him from winning. Certain states were taking his name off of ballots. How are you supposed to win if you're not even on the freaking ballot? But not only that, when he endorsed Donald Trump, they decided to put Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s name on the ballot for the first time so that it would draw away votes from Donald Trump. The Democratic establishment is just the most corrupt and rigged party America has ever seen, and it was not always this way. But you know what? They kind of shot themselves in the foot, because who is going to lead the Democratic Party in the next 10, 20 years? They have nobody of value, because anybody who had good ideas in the Democratic Party, they just forced them out.
Of Democrat politics, because outsiders are not allowed. Challenging the status quo is not allowed. The only thing that is allowed is stand where you are told. And Kamala's comments are pure projection, a total Freudian slip, and it underscores exactly why the Democrat Party is failing. She thinks it's a funny joke. It's fun to joke about somebody who's an independent thinker, at least somewhat independent, but she's highlighting how stifling and authoritarian the Democrat Party has become. It's no wonder so many people feel so disenfranchised. No wonder so many young voters are totally disillusioned with the Democrat Party and don't show up to vote, because they see the blatant corruption, the hypocrisy, and the lack of authenticity. They saw how Kamala Harris was propped up because her political strategy is exactly that, standing where she is told. They see how the party seems to reward loyalty over being genuine, and I think people are sick of it. Funny joke, Kamala, ha ha ha. But essentially, what it really was an admission of guilt. The Democrat Party is a cult, and this pretty much
all that we can do is just sit back and thank God that this woman is not going to become the next president of the United States, because if she had, this country would have been in shambles. I have no doubts about that. The last 4 years under Joe Biden were a testament to how a Kamala Harris administration would be. I don't think our country could have lasted 4 more years of this. We are a dying nation. We are getting worse and worse off every single year. Our country has become a laughingstock around the world, both education-wise, financially, security, even our southern border. There is an invasion underway in our southern border, and these people are not only allowing it, it seems like they are promoting it and they want it to happen because they are treating legal immigrants better than American citizens themselves. But one thing I will say positive about the Democrats is they are always united. They always vote in unison. And there are never any defectors, which is a lot more than I can say about the Republican Party. Because even if there's a bill that most Republicans should pass, there's always 4 or 5 different Republicans who just vote no because they hate Donald Trump. We need the Republicans to become more unified because for the most part, a lot of Democrats are just voting party lines and they will never cross that. So Donald Trump needs all hands on deck in the Republican Party. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on this down below. Were you ever a fan of Bernie Sanders in 2016 or 2020? Let me know. I'd love to know your thoughts on that. And if you enjoyed, make sure to smash that like, comment, subscribe, and wish you guys nothing but the best. Till next time.